Again, on the quiz that you got handed back, write quiz 1-5 on top of it, so that when I collect your binder, you'll know which quiz it's supposed to be in there. Again, in your binders, 2 sections. You've got a notes section. That's where all these notes are going that we get each day. And then you got a test and quizzes section. So this goes in the test and quiz section. Yeah, I'll when I get over there, I'll put it in the tray. Yeah, it said meadow table, but then I put the trays over there, so. On the homework, questions, page, what was that, page 39? Page 39, questions.
What about
Yes.
23?
I have a question. I need to get on to the question though.
Number 23.
Yeah, I could not understand that one.
A hiking trail is 25 miles from start to the finish. There are 2 rest areas located along the trail. So they give you this hiking trail. Do I really want to look at that hiking trail the way it is?
No, I couldn't.
I'm gonna do this. This is the start. This is the finish. And it's 24 miles, so we know the whole distance from here to here is how far? 24 miles. The first rest area is located such that the ratio of the distance from the start of the trail, well, first let's do this. What are we gonna label this? What coordinate are we gonna give the start? Probably 0, right? Make it easy. What's the finish gonna be then? 24. The first rest area is located such that the ratio of the distance from the start of the trail to the rest area and the distance from the rest area to the end of the trail is 2 to 9. So 2:9. Which one of these 2 formulas are we using? This one? If we're using a ratio, then it's this one, right? This is our M, that's our N. Let me see here, make sure that it's a nearest hundredth of a mile, nearest hundredth, that's tenths, hundredths, so 2 decimal places. How far is the first rest area from the starting point of the trail? So we're just trying to figure out where the rest area is in here somewhere, right?
Yeah.
That might not be right, I'm just guessing, throwing it on there. That's the rest area. So we're gonna use this formula. Our x1, what's our starting point? 0, what's our x2, our ending point? What's our M? 2, what's our N?
9.
And we're just gonna plug into this. Have out your calculator so you can help me here. N is 9, x1 is 0, plus M is 2, x2 is 24, all that over M plus N, so 2 plus 9. Remember on this one, in your calculator, punch in everything that's on top, do it first, write down that answer, and then on bottom, what's 2 plus 9 on bottom? So we can just write that down. Anybody get the top yet? 48. Now what are we gonna do with that? Divide it. So 48 divided by 11, calculator again.
4.3. 4.4.
Now it said go out 2 places, so 3, 6. That's our answer. That's part A, sorry. Part B says, that person claims that the distance she has walked and that the distance, claims that the distance she has walked and that the distance she has left to walk has a ratio of 5 to 7.
You just pronounced that so much better than I did in my head when I tried to read it.
I had to read it twice because it was confusing at first. So now our ratio is 5 to 7, so that's M, that's N. We're using the same formula, right? So this person is somewhere, wherever she's at, somewhere in there. Don't know if she's past the rest area, before the rest area, it doesn't matter. We'll figure out here in a minute. Yes. Yes. It did go off, didn't it? I'm not
Yeah.
crazy. So we're using the same formula, except now our M and N is this. So I looked at that formula there, N is 7 this time. What's our starting point? 0 plus M is 5. What's our ending point? 24. And then 5 plus 7 on bottom. Somebody do the top for us. 120. On bottom, it's 5 plus 7. 12.
12. Oh,
Divide that with again.
no.
10.
So how far is she?
10 miles.
10 miles. Now, let's make sure. How many miles has she walked? So how many miles has she walked to this point? 10 miles. How many miles does she still have to walk?
446.
It's 23.
To get to the finish? 14.
14 more miles. That's why I had to go back and read the question, make sure that what they ask us, right? If they ask us how many miles she's already walked, or how many miles does she have left to walk? And that was the answer to part B. Go ahead, Brains.
What about number 9?
Number 9. Gotta know this stuff. The stuff that we're gonna cover today uses these formulas again, sorta, but it uses it on a coordinate system. So instead of using it just once, you're actually gonna have to do each one twice, because it does it for the X and it does it for the Y.
Freshmen S through Z may report to pictures and stop by the office to get your papers. Freshmen S through Z.
Says find the coordinates of point J that is 1/6 of the distance. So if it's 1/6, which of these two formulas are we using? Right or left?
Right.
Alright, because the fraction goes right there, right? So we need our x1, our starting point. What's the starting point on that number line? Or where we're starting at?
-7.
Let's look here. It says A to E. So A is our starting point, that's -7. What's our ending point if we're going to E? 2. And then our fraction is, what did it say, 1/6?
Yeah.
Is that right? So we're using that formula. What do I write down first?
-7 plus 1/6.
Good.
Parenthesis, -7 minus 2. Parenthesis.
I messed this one up like 10 times yesterday. I don't know why. Oh,
Switch those.
this is part of it, because I did the same thing that you guys did. What's wrong with these?
They need to be switched.
They need to be switched around. So let's rewrite this. So it should be 2 minus
Negative.
a -7, right? What's gonna happen here?
Plus.
Plug all that into your calculator, grab your calculator and plug it all in.
-5.5.
What's it come out to be?
-5.5.
5.5, -5.5. Anybody else get that? Yes, no, maybe?
So on the calculator, when it says -5u and then 1/2.
So, yeah, it's the same thing.
That's
It's-
kind of what I was confused about.
So, yeah, if your calculator,
I was trying to put a space.
it puts that because this is your whole number.
Yeah.
And then it does, I think most of them now actually do the slash, 1/2. It used to, those calculators used to look like this when you got it. It'd be 5, then that little symbol, then 1, then a little dash, then the 2, and it'd be whole number, top number, bottom number. But now they figured out how to put a slash on there. I
I
wish
didn't
they
know how
had
to read my calculator.
Because I had,
that's why.
didn't, I don't like the slashes. The other thing, why is it giving you a fraction? Hold up your calculator for me. Let's see it real quick. Punch it in again. It gave you a fraction answer still? Which question, Ethan?
Wouldn't you put 1/6 into 2 and 7? Since it's on the outside of the parentheses, wouldn't it go into them?
Sorta, but if you know everything inside the parentheses, then you should do what's inside the parentheses first. So when I get back up here, I'll show you real quick.
Okay.
If you hit second, then that FD button, it'll change it to a decimal, but you shouldn't have to do that. I just gotta find the right button on here. There's some button on here that says. That does the setup. I don't see it right now. No, I don't really see it. Now I'll try to punch it in. So if you have something like this, that's telling you to distribute that out, right? If you have something like this, where we know this, everything in, there's no variables inside the parentheses, don't distribute it out, because all that does is make the problem longer and harder and a better chance of messing something up. So just go ahead and put these two together, which would be 5, and then do the multiplication.
Yeah,
Does that
that's
make
right.
sense?
That's what I'm asking.
So when it looks like this and you know everything underneath here, the calculator, or if you're doing it longhand, do that first, then worry about the times. It's when you have a variable inside there that you have to do the distributing. Other questions?
Like different questions in the homework?
Yeah.
14.
So our ratio this time is 5:3, so if we're using a ratio, which formula are we using? The left one, that's M, that's N. Now you gotta be careful this time. Where are we starting at on 14? What letter are we starting at? I don't think so, is it? X is the point we're looking for.
F?
We're starting at F, I think,
Yeah.
and we're going to what?
D.
D, so what's the coordinates of F?
5.
5, what's the coordinates of D?
1.
So this time we're actually going this direction. Instead of going to the right, we're going to the left. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes you go to the right, sometimes you go left, doesn't make any difference. What's M this time?
Wait, how do you know it went the other way?
Because it told us.
Oh.
It said, find the coordinate of point X such that the ratio of Fx to XD is 5:3. So it's telling you to start at F and go to D.
Oh, okay.
Go D, F.
Right, if it's at D, then F, then we'd be going the other direction. What's N this time? And that's gonna be a big thing. You gotta know which direction we're going when we do this stuff today. Alright, cause when you're on a coordinate system, you got different directions you could be going. And you guys told me we're using this formula, right? So N is 3, parentheses, X1 is 5, plus over 5 plus 3. Somebody do the top for us.
20 over
20 over 8. Everybody agree with that?
He did it so fast I couldn't even pick up my calculator.
Divide it. What's it come out to be?
8.
2.5. Now, to make sure that our answer makes sense, these are our points. We started at 5. We went to 1. Is 2.5 in here somewhere?
Yeah.
So it would make sense. If we came up with 6, would that have worked? No, because that's outside where we were dealing with. If you didn't already, grab the notes from up here. These notes look real mean and bad, and they're not all that difficult. Same stuff that we were doing last time. Fill in what you need to fill in on this part. Again, I probably made this harder than it is by writing all this out this way.
Wait, where do I?
We'll talk about it when we get to the next slide a little bit, as far as how it's not really all that much. It's the same stuff we were doing, you're just doing it twice.
I did grab the first one.
Make sure you got all 3, and I usually try to keep it down to 2, but this one took 3. Make sure they're in the correct order, so when we get to the other pages, you'll always know which order they go in. The first page will always say at the top, it'll have a title at the top and say like notes. This time it's 1-6, so that'll be the first page. The last page will always have what on it? The homework, the assignment. And I don't think there's any sets of notes where I have more than 3 pages, so then the other page, by default, the other page has to be the middle page. Something else I want you to write on here in step 2 here. Well, actually in step 1. When you're doing your X's and your Y's, order matters. Unlike with the distance formula where we could just switch them around, we can't do it here. Order matters. Your X sub 2 and Y sub 2 have to be your second point, the ending point. The X sub 1, the Y sub 1 have to be your starting point. So the order makes a difference. You got to know where you're starting, where you're ending. Remember, this says initial point. Initial just means where you're starting, and terminal means where you are ending. Notice, does this look familiar?
Yeah.
Same thing. Same thing as that right there, or just about the same thing. It will be the same thing on the next slide. This is the formula that we're going to use. And same thing, you're just doing that formula twice. You're doing it for the X coordinates and you're doing it for the Y coordinates on a coordinate plane. have written at the bottom there. Determine the initial endpoint. Very first thing you gotta do every time you're doing one of these problems, decide which point you're starting at, which point you're ending at. Now the stuff last time I probably said something like, nobody out in the real world's ever gonna ask you to do this stuff. Alright, it's more for just showing that you can do a process. When Branson goes out and he's some famous physicist, he will use this stuff. Person that studies physics, everything about the world, and all the, how things affect each other and all the different ways molecules affect this and this affects that. And people who decide stuff like Einstein was a physicist, so he worked out that, hey, when you're in space, this happens and you're traveling, so on and so on.
I'm gonna find out how to make water.
How to make what? Water.
Didn't get paid good money.
Again, the x1, that's going to be the x coordinate. For each one of these, you're going to have two. You're going to have a x1, comma, y1. That's your starting point. Then you're going to have an ending point, and it's going to be x2, y2. Every time, you're going to have a starting point and an ending point. So we're starting at this point, and we're going in this direction to this point. And the other thing I want to write down here, because there's going to be another formula. We're using this one when we are given a fraction. Same as we said last time. When you're given a fraction, this is the formula you use. This was the formula we used when we were given a what? A ratio. A ratio. Alright? So this is the one we use when we're given a fraction in the problem. The other formula is going to be the one that we use when we're given a ratio. I bet if I stopped right now, I bet you guys could write the formula just like that one right there for a ratio formula. It's going to be this exact same thing. That's going to go right here in the first. What do you think is going to change for the second part? Instead of x1 and x2, what's it going to be? y1 and y2. Alright, on this, find this on your paper there. We're going to do this one together. We'll graph it. You really don't have to graph it, but it might help some of you to see it. So looking at these -7, -5, 6, and 8. Probably put it about in the middle because we got negative numbers that are pretty big and we got positive numbers that are, so we might be able to make it right in the middle or somewhere close to the middle. Did I give myself enough room? I hope so. That's my x, that's my y. Boy, that's crooked. You can draw yours better than that on your paper, right?
I thought I'm not doing so well.
Yeah, you couldn't do any worse than what I just did, so.
Yeah.
Couldn't do any worse than what Ethan's doing. Those in all forms. How do I graph the point -7, -5? Tell me how to move.
So you go 7 over 5.
Come on now, I don't hear. Over doesn't make sense.
Left,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
down.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's point A. How do I graph B?
Right 6, up 8.
See, I bet I didn't give myself enough room. 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. just enough.
Oh, mine is.
That's our segment. What's our starting point? So we're starting here and we're going that direction. Start, end, just to help us out. Do we want to write out the whole formula, or do we just want to do the X, then do the Y? Do the X first, then the Y? Alright, so if we're gonna do our X's, you guys got the formula, so you probably have to flip back and forth one, because it's on the other side. So for the X part of the formula, what's it say? Let's write this out. Is this,
X,
that's an X, is it X1 or X2?
X1.
That's X1, that's X2 there, right? This is Y1 and that's Y2, maybe fill those in. So what's the formula tell us to write down first? X1, what is X1?
-7.
-7. So -7, then what? Plus, is that right?
Yeah.
A fraction, do we have a fraction this time?
Yeah.
3/4, parentheses, then what?
X2.
X2, what's X2 this time? 6 minus, what's X1? -7. Change that to plus. Grab your calculator. This is for the X's, right? Ethan said -3, anybody else get that? What'd you get?
2.8.
2.8? Anybody else get that? Yes, no, maybe?
It is the U thing for me.
Does it? Branson, yours didn't do it anymore, right? Yours didn't do the U thing anymore, did it?
Oh, it does.
It's still doing it?
Yeah, but I got 2.75.
Just do, I'm not sure, cause I thought I fixed it, but apparently not. Hit second, then that button, then enter.
What button do you click?
You hit second, and then there's a FD button, changes it from a fraction to a decimal.
2 3/4.
So 2 3/4,
Yeah.
2.75, we wanna switch it to that. What is that? What's 2.75?
X.
That's our X. So down here in our answer,
You don't have
the first part is 2.75. Then we're gonna find our Y. Same setup. Doing the same thing over again, you're just using the Y's now. So what's our Y1?
-5.
-5 plus 3/4 stays the same. What's our Y2? Minus, what's Y1? Change that, that's a plus. Plug that into your calculator.
She doesn't have an
4
F.
3/4.
She doesn't have a D button. She has an F and then a D button. She doesn't have a D button.
Why is mine different?
Because it's blue.
So just push, if you're trying to change it, so that's just saying change it to a decimal, that's saying change it to a fraction.
4.75.
You're right.
What'd you come up with?
4.75.
So what's 4.75? So again, what we're saying with all this, if I read the problem, find C, so we're looking for point C that is 3/4 of the distance from A to B. So we're saying we want to walk 3/4 of the distance. So if 3/4, that means I want it in 4 parts, right? So I'd split it up 3 times, correct?
Yeah.
Like that. So if I wanna walk 3/4 of them, that's 1, that's 2, that's 3, I should be somewhere about in there. Let's see, that point would be, if we get right there, that's 1, 2, 3, and up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're guessing it's about 3, 5. Is that pretty close to what we guessed, or what we came up with? Yeah. Our guess, if we were just to guess. So we're looking at that point right there. That's point C. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does everybody see what we're trying to actually do here? That's the hardest part of all this, is figuring out, hey, what are we actually doing? We're trying to say, if we started walking, we want to walk 3/4 of the distance, what point are we gonna be at if we're walking on that segment?
3/4.
So we're 3/4 of the way if we're at that point right there. What point would we be at if we were 4/4 of the way?
1.
Other.
0.68.
So we'd be at 6/8, wouldn't we? We'd be at the end. What point would we be at if we went 0 parts of the way?
-7, -5.
We'd be at the start down here. Next one. I don't know why I left this blank. Left some blank on mine too, so let's just fill them in here. Let's go back to the other, what were the points on the other ones?
Oh, they're down there in the corner.
Ah!
So fill those in. I don't know why I left them, didn't fill them in mine. So -8, -6. No, that's wrong.
Other way around.
My fault.
That goes to
Erase. So that's 2, 9, -8, -6. 2, 9, and -8. -8, we need a little bit of space this way, 9, and we need a little bit of space up. So I'm gonna put my X like down here somewhere, put my Y maybe about here somewhere. I'm not gonna go right in the center this time, because last time I about messed up, didn't have space. How do I graph 2, 9?
A. Go over, right, and up.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. Crap, I didn't move myself in my space going down, did I? How do I graph -8?
Put it right in the middle.
Does it?
Yeah.
Michael said if you put it right in the middle, it works. How do I graph -8, -6?
Go right, left. Go left,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're gonna be right there. That's it. Can't draw very straight. What's different about this one?
It's 2/5.
That's true. What else? What's it tell us?
Repeat.
From B to A.
We're starting at B and going to A, so this is the starting point, and this is your ending point, so we're going that direction this time. Gotta know that first. Where are you starting, where are you ending up at? What's this? X1, what's this? This, this, find our x's. Do this real quick. What's our x1? Plus, what's our fraction? What's our x2? What is it? -8 minus, what's our x1? 2.
work doing stuff
This
in
is
here.
fun.
That's,
I agree, this is
we're
really
doing
fun
stuff.
class.
Yeah.
Thank you, Branson. Branson, those times I took your grade down, it'll go back up today.
I was not being sarcastic.
I would,
Kind of was.
-2, anybody else get -2?
I did.
I did.
So what's -2?
X.
Oh, okay.
That's our x coordinate of our answer. What else do we still have to find?
Why?
Not y to the y's. What's our y sub 1?
2.
No, I don't.
Gotta be careful with this, right? It's a little confusing. What's our fraction? 2/5. What's our y sub 2?
-6.
-6. What's our y sub 1?
9. I got 3.
3.
I got you.
Can I use the ruler?
Just go for
What is that?
I got 2.2.
Oh, I got
2.2.
three.
I got
3.
3, yeah.
3.
Try it again, because we'll get different answers. Everybody try it again. Just to make sure.
Oh, I think Luke got it right, 'cause I
Yeah,
put
Luke
X2.
got it right.
I can put X2 instead of Y2.
So what did it come out to be?
3.
3? Positive 3?
Yes.
Let's make sure here. 2/5 of the way. 2/5 is a little less than half, right? So we should be a little less than half the way if we go to that point. So -2, how do I get to -2? And up,
2. 3.
so 1, 2, 3, it's gonna be right there, so we're somewhere about there. Does that look like, if we're moving from here to here, does that look like we walked about a little less than halfway? Yeah, so that would make sense. What if we came up with an answer like 6/4? Would that answer make any sense whatsoever?
No.
6/4 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. We'd be right there. Is that point even gonna be on the segment? No. So that, something's not right there. We messed up somewhere. So when we get our answer, it should be on that segment somewhere. Alright, the second part. If you are given a what? Instead of a fraction, what was the other way? If you're given a, what did we do last time? A ratio. If you're given a ratio, this is going to be the formula. So fill it in. Fill in what you need to fill in. I don't know, is it the right thing? It's just a different setup, isn't it? Why did I do that? Might be different on your paper. It looks different on your paper. Some reason I put wallets on mine and on yours I didn't. Can you guys figure it out? By the of, you need the M:(N), right? You're filling in these two things with your, you're filling in this and that right there. That horrible Kellen, and the tired. You got you sitting over here all by yourself. Are you gonna cry?
Yeah.
Cause you're so far away from everybody.
We'll give him hugs, I guess, when we leave.
Alright, 2-4.
Where's Jacob at?
I don't know, is he here today?
I would assume no.
I didn't check my attendance, I probably shouldn't.
But today is character creation for D&D.
Get out there.
Wait, one.
This is new, actually, Jacob.
Me too.
Who would coach our boys soccer?
I haven't.
My dad. Isn't it?
My dad plays soccer with Cheney. My dad's coach.
No, we're not.
Soccer.
Okay, let's not.
I think Mr. Cheney
Cause I
should
played
be
soccer.
doing
Mr.
That's
Cheney-
everything.
Mr. Cheney coached it here
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, I know, but my dad is
Riley. Riley. Why
He
not?
was really bad.
Yeah, three.
My dad
He
was
only
not
makes me run a little bit.
So on this, if we're doing a ratio, if you're given a ratio in the problem, then now you're using this formula. Notice it's same as the other formula, you just got X's and Y's. Alright, so you gotta do both. Doing the same thing, just doing it twice. Again, you got your initial point where you're starting at, you got your terminal point. Did I leave you stuff to write in this?
I don't think so.
There's nothing to write, I don't think. Just remember that this is your terminal point, is your ending point, and this is your starting point. Now, you gotta be careful. Does the starting point have to be on the right or on the left? Not necessarily. They could switch around, they'll tell you which direction you're going. You gotta read the problem carefully. Find this on your paper. Let's graph it real quick. So go ahead and graph this next example on yours while I'm graphing it on mine. I'm just going with the middle this time, Michael. I ain't even, I missed it both times trying to outthink myself. Maybe use this for a straight edge.
Yeah. You're so funny.
Which point we starting at? A, and we're going towards B, so we're going that direction. So A is our starting point, B is our ending point. So what's this gonna get labeled? X1, this is Y1, X2, Y2. What's this get labeled? M, that's N. So label those things. Last time we were writing them down over here. Probably more work than you need to do. Okay? We'll do it the same way we were doing the others. We'll find the X first, then we'll find the Y. We're using this formula. It looks like this, so you don't have to keep flipping back and forth. What's N this time? What's N? 2, right? What's X1?
1.
-5.
-5. Gotta be careful on these, right? Plus, what's M? 1. What's X2?
6.
Over, what's M?
1 plus 2.
-4 over 3.
Do the top, what do you get on top?
-4.
-4 or 4, which one? I heard both answers.
-4.
-4? On bottom you get 3. Somebody divide that for us. -1.3 repeating. So it's 1.33333. Anytime you have a third, that's what it is. So we'll just go with -1.3, somewhere close. So we found our X's, now we need to find our what? Same thing, except switching out the X's here and putting in the Y's. What's N?
2.
What's Y sub 1?
2.
-2. What's M? 1. What's Y sub 2? Over 1 plus 2 again, right?
2 over 3.
-2 over 3. Anybody else get that?
Yep.
Now, if you change that to a decimal, what's it as a decimal?
-0.6.
-0.6 repeating. So it's about a half, somewhere around the half. Are we gonna be able to graph -0.6 on our graph exactly? probably not, but we'll just say, okay, it's somewhere close to half, figure it out. This is our answer. Let's make sure it makes sense. If I go on my graph here, what's negative 1.3 tell us to do?
I'm going left.
So somewhere about there maybe, does that look about right? And then
Down.
down about a half. Is that gonna fall on our line? Now, let's think about it. 1 to 2. You are A, your friend, not my spell that wrong. Don't look at my spelling. Your friend is B. You're gonna meet somewhere on this segment. You're gonna walk one part of the distance, your friend's gonna walk 2 parts, because they're more athletic than you. Alright? Does that look like you walk 1 part compared to their 2 parts? No. Except for the spelling stuff.
Yeah,
That's why your math
spelling stuff.
And my
I
like,
failed
it's like
English
equal
if you
right
were-
there and like.
Mine's a barely spelled English. Spanish. Sad, right?
Is that one on your notes?
Don't distract class.
Did I leave Q and S out on yours too?
Yeah.
You want it? I want to figure out what they are. I don't know why I did that. Jump to this one. I think this is the last one, isn't it? Is it on there somewhere?
Oh, yeah.
A retailer wants to build a new shop between Jacksonville and Madeira. The retailer wants there to be a 1-to-3 ratio between the distance from Jacksonville to the shop and the distance from the shop to Madeira. So they're going to build their shop in here. Let's just look at this, 1 to 3. How many parts are they splitting this up into?
3,
Careful.
1.
1 to 3. What's that
4.
tell us? They're splitting up into 4 parts, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
how many times am I going to cut it?
3.
3. Maybe something like that. We're starting in Jacksonville. This is our starting point. Madeira is our ending point. We want, so Jacksonville to the shop is the 1 part. Madeira to the shop is the 3 parts, right? So tell me when to stop when I'm at the part where we want it to be. Does everybody agree with Michael right there?
Yes.
So could we make an estimate about where this is gonna be at?
Yes.
Yeah, we could. It looks like it's about 0,
4.
1.5, 1.5, something like that. That's an estimate. Now let's see what we get when we actually do it out.
Oh, it says
correctly.
it goes by 2s.
Oh, it goes by 2, so wouldn't be 1.5, it'd
Job, Mike.
be what?
Good job, Michael.
What would it be?
What a catch. 2.5.
How much?
2.3.
It'd be 3 total, wouldn't it? So 0, 3. So next thing we need to do, we need to find the coordinates of Jacksonville. If it goes by 2s, what's its coordinates?
-4.
-4, that's our x.
Negative. 2.
So +2, write that in. What's the coordinates of Madeira? Here, I'll move for you.
12.
So that's 12. Please make sure, I didn't read it carefully.
4.
Ours, it doesn't have it on ours. Yeah.
Alright, I didn't read it carefully. Make sure in the book, because it'll tell you if it goes by 2s. It won't tell you, but it'll show you. Like it'll mark 2 is this number right here. Make sure you're reading the graph carefully. A lot of times they'll do that to you just to try to mess with you. How far up does Madeira go?
6.
6. So those are our coordinates. This is x1, that's y1. This is x2, that's y2. What's m this time?
1.
1. What's n?
3.
3. Find our x's. This was a multiple choice question and one of the answers was 0, 3, and you didn't know how to do this problem, would that be a good guess?
Yes.
You know what a bad guess is on a multiple choice question?
The wrong one.
maybe, but
No
something
answer.
little. No answer. What kind of person leaves a multiple choice question blank?
You're not the brightest.
Alright, see, I'm not allowed to say any of those things about you, but if you leave a multiple choice question blank, that's what I'm thinking about you.
We're done, right?
See, I'm not allowed to say that, so.
Not the brightest.
So, on this, we're using this formula again, what's in? 3 times, what's x1?
Negative 4.
-4. Why'd I put that? There, fix it. Plus, what's m?
1.
What's x2?
12. 0.
Over, what's m?
Oh, 1.
Plus n?
3.
We said the top is 0.
Yep.
What's on bottom?
4.
What's 0 divided by 4?
0.
So the x coordinate of our answer is 0. To do the y's, what's n? 3. What's y1?
2.
Careful.
Y1 is
Oh, it is 2, my fault. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Plus, what's m?
1.
1. What's y2?
6.
Over 1 plus 3 again. What's on top this time? 12 on top. What's on bottom?
4.
What's 12 divided by 4?
3.
Oh my gosh. Wicked.
We did pretty good guessing, didn't we? Good thing Michael was here to tell us we were going by 2s, otherwise I'd forgot.
I like your tie.
What's this tie? Doesn't make it double.
Everybody think they can handle all that?
Yeah.
What is it?
We do it.
Yep. Now, on this, 1 through 13, let's list this out because last time some people got confused. 1 through 13 odd, what's that mean?
1, 3,
6,
6,
5,
5, 7,
5, 7, 9, 11,
Yep.
13, 15.
And then you got 14 and 15 that you have to do. So that's the list out of them. Notice, real long assignment?
No.
Why not?
Because you like us today.
That ain't got nothing to do with it.
Because
They do a lot of work.
There's a lot of work to each one. And I want you to actually try them. I don't want you to get frustrated and just quit it right away. As a matter of fact, get your books out. We got about 13 minutes. We'll try to do a couple of them together. I'll do a couple of them for you just to make your assignment even that much shorter.
we must have really made you everything.
Yeah, we should do 14 and 15 together.
Do 14 and 15, you want to do those?
Yeah.
Alright. So we'll start with 14. I'm going to do something on that.
Yeah, me too, but those are the numbers that I'm okay with doing that.
It's a paper.
Apple Fest.
Yeah.
Not a reason. Follow up with you on Apple.
I won't be here
Can't
for
do it
Apple
on mine.
Fest.
No one asked.
Yeah, okay. Now, no one asked. Okay. Who's your team?
Me, Mike,
I just shut myself.
Aiden Brindley, and Dylan Smith.
47. Dream team, baby.
Yeah,
Dream
for
team.
real. Might go crazy, I ain't gonna lie.
Now.
Our-
Yeah.
I just wanna
Our
play
best
basketball,
one's
that's all it
supposed to be doing
is.
But I can't go
You
again.
just raise it up here. You know that's like a waste of 50 points, right?
60
Yeah,
actually.
taking it today.
Is
Well,
it
we
60
don't-
a person or
we
60
don't.
a team?
You ready for
It's-
Apple Fest?
we're gonna get
14, help me out. Read it to me.
Here.
No, I don't want to look at it. Do I need to draw it? Is it going to help to draw it?
Yeah.
And
No.
Can we do it without drawing it?
probably.
You want me to read it?
Yeah, read it.
Alright. Lila was walking from the park at Point P to a restaurant at Point R.
Now stop for a second. So where are we starting at?
Point P.
P to R. So we'll have to make sure you remember that too. Because I think P's on this side, isn't it? And R's on this side. So we're sort of going backwards.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
She wants to stop for a break when the distance she has traveled and the distance she has left to travel has a ratio of 3:5.
3, 5.
Yeah. At which point should Lila stop for the break?
Somebody tell me
Whatever.
what's P? What's the coordinates of P?
10-3.
R?
0, 4.
Does everybody agree with all that?
Yeah.
This is what, again? 3 is,
N.
5 is,
And
N, what's this one gonna be?
X1.
X1,
Y1. X2. Y2.
can we do it now just using the formula? So let's do our X's. What's our N?
5.
Times, what's our X1?
10.
Plus, what's our M?
3.
3, what's our X2?
0.
Over, what's our M? 3, what's our N?
50 over 8.
Did I do everything correctly?
Yeah.
Say 50 over 8.
Yeah.
50.
Somebody divide that for us. I don't know, is it 53 over 8?
No,
It's
it's
6.
50. It's 50 over 8.
50 over 8, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't-
And that's
yeah, probably,
6
yeah.
and a quarter.
6.25.
Yeah.
Do the same thing for the Y's. What's N? What's Y1?
3.
What's M?
3.
What's Y2?
4.
And on the bottom it's still 3 plus 5, right?
Yeah.
27 over 8.
What is it?
27 over 8.
27 over 8, everybody agree with that? Somebody help me out, what's 27 divided by 8?
3.375.
So what point is she gonna be at? I don't even remember what they said.
6.
She's gonna be at what? Is she gonna, she's taking a break or something? Is that what she's doing?
Yeah.
So what point is she gonna be at? 6.25 and 3.375. Now, if you wanted to write it with the fractions, that's 6 1/4, right? Anybody know what 3.375 is as a fraction?
3 3/8.
It's 3 3/8. Anytime you see something that looks like this, like 0.175, 0.375, 0.875, it's probably an 8. And that goes back to our rulers that we used that are split up into 8ths, 16ths, and quarters. That's the answer. I guess that's what they wanted, wasn't it?
I guess.
At which point should,
I believe the suffer.
so that's the point. Now let's look at the graph they gave you. If you went up, or went to the right 6 and up about 3, are you gonna be on her path? We go right 6 and up 3, are we gonna be on her path?
Yeah.
Pretty close?
Yeah. Oh, I thought it wasn't holding
Are we gonna do 15? Yes, no, maybe?
Yes.
15, what's it say?
United States capital is located at, points 2, -4 on a coordinate grid.
Hold on. 2, -4?
Yep.
What is that?
Capital.
That's the capital, so I'll just put capital, cap.
The White House is located at -10, 16. On the same coordinate grid, find 2 points on a straight line between the United States Capitol and the White House, such that the ratio is 1:3.
1 to 3,
Yep.
by 2 points? Is that what it said?
Yep.
Does it mean find 2 points?
It says find 2 points on a straight line between the United States Capitol and the White House.
He probably knows, he just don't, he's one that doesn't tell us.
So why is it asking us for 2 points? Because we've been finding 1 point all this time. What could it be saying? Could be saying if you start at the Capitol and go to the
White House and from.
White House and then go the other way for the other one, right? So we'll do it that way. So let's start with the capital and go to the White House first. So what's this?
X1.
X1, Y1, what's this?
M,
Ignore that screen mark. Ah, so let's see for our X's. N is
1.
3.
I lied. 3. I was
X1 is 2, M is 1, X2 is -10 over 1 plus 3, or 3 plus, actually it should be 3 plus 1, doesn't matter. What's that give us? What is it? What's on top? -4. What's on bottom? 4. What's that give us? -1. So that's our X coordinate. Do the same thing for the Y's. N is,
3.
Y sub 1 is,
-4.
1 is N, right? Or M, sorry. And Y sub 2
16.
over 1 plus 3 again. And again, I wrote it backwards, so it doesn't matter on the bottom of it. What's on top? 4. What's on bottom? 4 divided by 4 is?
1.
So that's one of the points, if we start where? Capital and go to the White House. If we go the other way, what's gonna change?
They're just gonna switch.
That's X2, that's Y2, that's X1,
It's gonna be 1.
that's Y1, right? So when we switch these, what happens with these two?
Switch well.
They switch, so for our X's, it's gonna be 3 times -10 plus 1 times 2 over 1 plus 3 still stays the same. What's on top now?
-27.
Negative, be careful,
28.
-28 divided by 4, what's that give us?
-7.
-7. And then same idea here, right? The 16 and that -4 is gonna switch. So 3 times 16 plus 1 times -4 divided by 1 plus 3. Is that confusing anybody that I switched the 1 and the 3 every single time on this one? It doesn't matter on the bottom, right? 3 plus 1, 1 plus 3 is the same thing. What's that give you on top?
44.
44 on top, on bottom?
11. Not 11, sorry.
4, and then 44 divided by 4 is?
11.
Are both those, if you looked at your graph there in the book, are both those on the segment or pretty close? Can you handle the rest of them? Ryan then quit on us and start doing it on his own instead of listening to us. Yeah, I feel useless now. I'm sorry. And, my fault. That's twice this year.
They look so much alike.
We do think about it, like, and I realized this year,
I'll call.
I noticed it whenever everyone started calling Ryan.
I haven't done anything wrong.
Literally every